Welcome to today's deep dive. So, when we were looking through the stack of notes you brought in for this,
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
right, a ton of textual analysis, and a very familiar scenario came to mind. You know, when a massive obstacle hits your daily life, like a brutal workday or a sudden crisis, you immediately look around for the culprit.
Oh, absolutely, like a detective at a crime scene.
Exactly. You point at the economy or, I don't know, the traffic, your boss, and you say, there it is. That external thing is why I'm so stressed out.
Right, because we prefer cause and effect when the cause is conveniently outside of us. I mean, it's highly comforting to have something to point a finger at, you know?
It really is. But the research you sent us presents this radical reinterpretation of a text that completely flips that crime scene upside down. We're looking at John 14.
Yeah, which is one of the most quoted chapters of the Bible.
Right, but to be clear to everyone listening, our mission today isn't to view this as religious doctrine or like comfort poetry. We're reading it purely objectively.
Right, we aren't endorsing any specific theology here. We're just unpacking the source material's perspective.
Exactly. We want to see it as a practical manual for consciousness and inner identity, and really explore how you can apply these ancient ideas to your daily life challenges.
And the text outlines this psychological framework that completely dismantles the idea of some distant external force that randomly rewards or punishes you.
Yeah, so the text argues that when Jesus says, the Father who dwells within me does the work, he isn't making a religious claim at all. He's describing inner causation.
Inner causation, exactly. The idea that action originates entirely from within.
Right, it's like fighting a mirror. I mean, if you want the reflection to smile, you have to smile first. You can't just stand there and yell at the glass.
That is a great way to put it.
But, okay, I have to challenge the logic of this inner causation idea. I mean, it makes perfect sense if we're talking about a bad mood or, you know, a rude coworker. But what about a random car accident?
Or a massive company layoff, right?
Mm, yeah. Is the text really claiming that you internally caused a macroeconomic collapse?
Well, no. The source doesn't necessarily argue that you consciously micromanaged a macroeconomic collapse into existence.
Okay, good, because that would be a stretch.
Right. Rather, it points out that the reality you experience, like how that layoff impacts your world, your next steps, your ultimate survival, all of that, is entirely dictated by your internal state.
So it's about abandoning what the text calls the safety of victimhood.
Exactly. Instead of fighting external conditions, you take absolute responsibility for your internal reaction. Your current state of being is the sole cause of what happens to you next.
Wow. Okay, so if the external world is just a mirror of what we're holding internally, how do we practically change what we're reflecting daily? Your notes highlight that famously misunderstood line, in my Father's house are many mansions.
Yeah, and the text argues this has literally nothing to do with an afterlife.
Wait, really? Like nothing at all?
Nothing at all. It refers to states of consciousness that are available to you right now. You don't just move through physical space, you know. You move through states of being.
Okay, so rather than like upgrading an operating system, it sounds more like changing the channel on a TV. The other channels, those other mansions or realities, are broadcasting simultaneously right now.
Right. You just aren't tuned into their frequency yet.
So how do you tune in?
Well, the text says you must prepare a place. And this is where the practical application really comes in. Before you try to force an outcome with endless daily effort, you have to inwardly select and occupy the new identity.
And you do that by shifting your inner dialogue, right?
Yeah, by generating the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. If you're staring at a stressful email, you don't panic about how to fix it.
You internally assume the feeling of the person who has already resolved the issue. And then the outer world simply reorganizes around this newly occupied state. Which brings us to how we correctly ask for that change. Because the source points to the phrase, whatever you ask for in my name, and it claims name means identity.
Yes, asking isn't begging. It's assuming the state where the problem is already solved.
But look, in the middle of a deeply stressful workday, human nature is to feel desperate, right?
Yeah.
How do we practically bypass that desperation?
By recognizing the harsh truth the source presents here. Desperation actively blocks results.
Because desperation reveals an identity of lack.
Precisely. Begging contradicts the state of already having the solution. So when panic hits during your workday, you must catch that desperate thought.
And consciously pivot your focus away from the problem.
Right, anchoring yourself back into the identity of the solution. Applied daily, every obstacle you face is no longer a punishment.
It's just instant feedback on which channel you're currently watching. That is, distilling all of this down for you, realizing causation is internal is actually strangely freeing.
It really is. You step away from the crime scene entirely.
Yeah, you stop asking when external things will change, and you start noticing who you are being while you wait.
You stop fighting the mirror and start refining the state you live from.
So well put. And we'll leave you with this final thought to mull over today. If shifting your inner identity changes your present reality so drastically, what does that mean for your past?
That is a fascinating question.
Right. I mean, if you move into a completely new mansion today, does that new state of consciousness actually rewrite how you remember and experience your past traumas?